Welcome to the Fueling Fire podcast, the first and best nutrition podcast for first responders. We bring in the wellness experts who know the fire service, but can break down the science so that you don't have to. This podcast will help you eat better when you don't have time, money, or energy. I'm Megan Lautz, a civilian dietitian obsessed with helping firefighters boost energy and lose body fat while on shift work without the stress. Let's get into the podcast. Welcome to the Fueling Fire Nutrition Podcast, the first and best nutrition podcast for firefighters. We have our first and best, in my opinion, guest here today, Dr. Jill Joyce, who is a dietitian out of OSU, and she specializes in all of the realms of tactical from fire, police, and military. But today we're really focusing on firefighter nutrition habits and how we can make this easier for you on shift. Dr. Joyce, thanks so much for coming in with me.
Yeah, thank you, Megan, for having me. I'm excited for this, and you,
yeah, nerd zoomies, yay. Cool. Well, do you mind kind of introducing yourself? How did you get into the firefighter space?
Absolutely. So like you mentioned, I'm at Oklahoma State University. We have a lab called the Tactical Fitness and Nutrition Lab. I'm the nutrition side. Dawes kinesiology is the fitness side. And together our goal is to improve the health and then fitness and then occupational performance of all first responders. And I got into that, I'd say from the very beginning of my life, and it's like built as I've gone, like I've snowballed into more and more tactical in my life. My grandpap, cousin, and uncle are firefighters. Pretty much everybody on my husband and my side are Army and Navy, no Air Force. Nope, Army and Navy, mostly Army. My husband was active duty Army. I wanted to be in the Army, didn't play out for me. I married it instead. And my husband's family is a ton of law enforcement. So tactical is like everybody I know. So it's fun because I know them really well on a personal side because they're my family and best friends. But I'm also a clinician. I function in the behavior change realm. So like I get to observe things in real life, and then I kind of know where to go research wise, and I can look in the literature, see if there's anything there isn't, and I can start to address those gaps. So it's kind of a perfect storm for being a researcher in this area.
Absolutely. Like you do a really good job of taking the textbook approach and making it actually work for real life, which is where a lot of students and like pure fitness trainers really struggle.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably if I had a biggest goal for my students, and we put out a lot of dietitians as practitioners. That's my biggest thing is I want them to leave here being able to use in reality what they've learned, and their clients or patients can actually use it too. So
exactly.
Agreed.
Yeah. So, and this podcast is going to launch like mid-January, right? So right in the thick of the resolutions where everybody's already like kind of thinking, ooh, I don't know about this one. This one's soon. I think it's like January 21st, like only like 20% of people are left.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Because, and we know our firefighters, they tend to be very binary. They're very black or white. I'm on the plan or I'm off the plan. Mm-hmm. So if at this point, someone's like, I think it's time to come off the plan, please help. What are some things because you specialize in that environment piece.
Yeah. So
what is something they can do to set up their environment to make it a little bit easier to make those better decisions?
Absolutely. I think environment's one of those things that people don't think about. They immediately blame themselves. Oftentimes I find that people just blame themselves for not succeeding. And especially with fire, being at the fire station, that fire station food environment impacts you massively. It's not the only environment. So when we say like environment, I'll say there's a lot of ways that the environment around you is anywhere you basically live, learn, work, play, worship, exist, whatever, everywhere you are and function. It's impacting your food choices. The grocery store, a restaurant, a convenience store, at home, at work, at the station, at a potluck if you're religious at church, wherever, at your child's school if you have one and you're at a party. I mean, the food that's there out physically in the environment, it's going to drive your eating habits. So there are a lot of there are a lot of ways you can't control that. Like I can't alter the restaurants that are in town, but I can figure out how to use them more wisely once I understand how they're impacting me. So usually that's kind of what I wind up helping firefighters with is there's two environments on shift, especially that tend to impact them. One of those is going out to eat, how you obtain your food, I guess, on shift. I would say that's one way environment impacts you, and that could be at a restaurant or the grocery store if you do tend to cook a little bit more. And then the other way is the food that's just at the station in general. So I usually teach them how to control both of those. There are tactics that stores and restaurants are using to drive your choices to make you happy and spend money, which oftentimes doesn't go alongside healthy. And then there's what's at the fire station. And there's two ways that not so healthy stuff often gets to the station. One, because we bring it there, or as firefighters, or two, because the public brings it there, because sadly nobody wants to love you with carrot sticks and cuties. I would love if they did that, but
yeah, or at least condiments and peanut butter. Like, just be realistic here.
Yeah. So I think something to do, as you're maybe approaching falling off the wagon, is to look at that fire station food environment and figure out we need to figure out how we can take back control and set it up, not to nudge us towards the unhealthy foods, but instead to nudge us towards the healthy foods.
Awesome. Yeah. And so it was preliminary, or is it on paper yet? That study where you brought snacks to the firefighters?
We have it. We've had it out in kind of oral presentations where it's very messy data and we have a lot of it. So we're fishing through it, but we do have some preliminary results still on that one.
Perfect. Yeah. Can you kind of explain the process of that and what exactly that was?
Absolutely. So, we've done some studies that look at kind of mindfulness of firefighters when they're on shift. Are they kind of aware of how they're eating or what's influencing their eating habits? And something we found, we had about, I want to say like 180 or so firefighters, and we found that firefighters are aware that the fire station food environment, when there's, I'm going to use the word junk food. Pardon, I don't necessarily like that term. Dietitians get all spicy about that term. Treats. I like treats. We'll call them treats. They do know that when there are treats laying about in the fire station, it gets them. So they're very aware of that. So I'm aware of that as somebody who has family members who work at fire stations and working with firefighters and going to fire stations. I see treats on the counters a lot. And I don't know about you, but if there are treats all over my office, I joke that I'm like a bloodhound with sweets. Like, I like a little squirrel. I will find them and I will destroy them. I'll sniff them out where they're hidden. So, I mean, a lot of people are. So it's going to get you at some point. Those treats on the counters are going to get you. So what we did with a fire department close to campus, your goal, if you want to nudge yourself towards eating healthier, you have 6 opportunities, 3 on the treat side of things and 3 on the healthier food side of things. If you want to eat less of something, you need to make it less normal, less attractive, and less convenient. So there's 3 nudges, and I'll show you how we use those in a second. If you want to make healthier food, that you want to eat more of it, you make it more normal, more attractive, or more convenient. So you kind of do the opposite. If you want to decrease it, make it less. Want to increase it, make it more of the 3 things. So what we did with the fire department in town is we made treats less attractive and less convenient. I couldn't do a policy because apparently policies have to go citywide, and not everybody was on board with that. So we had a strongly worded rule from the OSU food lady that you had to have your treats hidden. You could have them. That's fine. I'm not going to say no. We'll talk about that one in a second. I didn't make them less normal, but I did make them less attractive and convenient, that you couldn't have them out on the countertops. They had to be behind a closed door. That makes them less attractive. They're not sitting out on the counter looking all amazing, calling your name, and they're not conveniently right there to just grab and eat. You have to kind of find them to eat them, and hopefully
out of sight, out of mind kind of vibe.
Hopefully you don't find them as often. I didn't say you can't have treats in the fire station, because the minute that I'm gone, And they mean this lovingly. You know, we joke with each other. They're going to go to the grocery store, buy a ton of it, and probably leave the wrappers there just to make me laugh when I get there the next time. So I didn't do that because that often backfires. Even with myself, like, I mean, I don't say like I can't have something, but if I do try and eat less of something, I tend to want it more.
Well, right. It's like a rebellious thing. You tell a firefighter they're not allowed to have pizza, and then suddenly, like, they're
everywhere.
Like, I need pizza.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
So I didn't do that one because that one can backfire. So I'll say when it comes to making the treats less normal, you have to decide how to use that one. I will say for the stations, I don't say don't have it because I am worried it's going to backfire. For me, I'll say what I personally do is because I'm a treats bloodhound, I can't have them in the house. So I don't have them in the house, but that doesn't mean I don't eat them. That means I truly have to, because I literally have no willpower with sweets. I mean, none. Like,
yeah.
So I have to actually get in the car and go, like, I have to really want it and think through it to go get it. I got to get out of my sweatpants and get in the car, and
not worth it.
My student's going to work wherever I'm at, so I can't be in my sweats. So I really got to work for it, which means I actually thought about it and realized if I truly want it. So I don't say no, I just make it. So you got to figure out how it works for you with the less normal thing. That one can backfire though if you say like none of it ever.
Right.
I don't like to do that. So we did use 2 of the 3 nudges on the treat side of things. Less attractive, less convenient. So that could be something stations do. Have this rule: no treats out on the countertops, on the tables. You can have it, but keep it stored when you're not eating.
Yeah. Or throw a tablecloth over it because, like, you know, Christmas time of year, it's like stacked up 7, you know.
Absolutely. Or have you know, like instead of see-through cookie jars, like have a jar that's not see-through.
Yeah.
The fact that you can't see what's in there will actually impact you. Like you'll eat less of it. When you have a see-through jar and you can see those Oreos, you're gonna want them. But if it's, you know, a pottery type thing you can't see through, you just won't realize it that they're there nearly as much. So it won't call to you. So 2 nudges alone, each one of these nudges will increase the likelihood that you eat healthier. The more nudges, the easier it is. You just kind of trick yourself almost. So on the healthy food side of things, we used all 3 nudges. We made healthy food more normal. So at the start of every 2-day shift, we do 24 on, 48 on, 2 days on, 3 days off in town. So we do 48 on, is that 72 off? It's finals week. Math right now is hard.
Listen, it's the end of the year. Brains are just complete marshmallow. It's all fine.
Yeah. Sorry.
They do the work a lot.
My bad. Oh my gosh. We do 2 days on, 4 days off. Wow. I'm really out of it today. 2 days on, 4 days off. So the start of every 2-day shift, we dropped off. It was, I think, a 3-pound bag of apples, little lunchbox size apples, a 5-pound bag of cuties, and we put them in a nice black metal wire bowl out on the counter. So, you know, real attractive looking, very modern, cool looking on the counters. We had a big see-through mason jar, and we put lightly salted roasted almonds in there. And then we had a pallet style dark brown wooden box, and we put Nature Valley bars, the oats and honey, and the crunchy ones. And then we put whole grain peanut butter crackers in there. So those were out on the counters and normal. We filled up the stations at the start of every 2-day shift. And in the fridge, we had baby carrots, pre-cut broccoli, hummus, and Greek yogurt ranch dip. So that was more normally there. So we had produce, we had whole grains, and we had like a lean protein with healthy fats, magnesium. So all these things, you know, fueling performance, preventing the chronic diseases, like great snacks to have in place. So they were more normal. We made them very attractive. The displays were very appealing. We had a lot of different colors. They were foods that people actually wanted, things that you won't go nuts on necessarily, or overeat quite as much, but things that are still quite appealing. And they were all convenient. I mean, the most difficult thing was peeling a cutie, and cuties peel pretty easily. So they were very convenient, easy to grab and eat and go. And it was very, 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 very effective. Preliminarily, we've found that on average, over the course of 3 months, per person per shift, they ate an extra pound of produce, which is absolutely insane.
Insane. I mean, because that's the first thing that goes out the window when you're tired and cranky, Like, you
Yeah.
don't go to Chick-fil-A and say, please, can I have a salad after
No.
lunch has been delayed 3 hours?
I don't even go to Chick-fil-A and say that, sadly.
No, not even when lunch wasn't delayed. Honestly, I'm going to Chick-fil-A for a reason.
I know. Those nuggets. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And some, as researchers, we collect certain types of data, but I'll say we also kind of call them these like unintended positive outcomes that we see that we can't document in the data collection methods that we're using. Some of those unintended positive outcomes we saw were kind of along the lines of what you mentioned. Is they said that when they were on shift and got a call, they oftentimes would kind of stop somewhere on the way back and treat themselves, especially in the middle of the night, because you're just so tired and stressed out that you're like, I'm really treating myself now. They said knowing that they had those snacks to go back to at the station, they were fine going back to those snacks and happy to have them there. So it not only was it great while they were in the station, but even while they were out on their way back, it impacted them not diverting to a convenience store or McDonald's or something like that to grab a treat. So that was great. A lot of them took it home with them. They thought that it worked so well in the station. It was pretty cute. A lot of them would take it home, and because I joke hard a lot with this. I'm like, well, I'm going to trick you into eating healthy. And they're like, no way. And then it works. And they're like, oh my. So they're like, I'm going to trick my kids. They took the ideas home and they started putting like apples and bananas out on the countertop. And they'd come in and be like, my kids ate apples and they don't know it. Like, yeah.
I think they kind of knew it. They kind of knew it. They didn't know why they did it.
Yeah, they didn't realize it. They're like, it worked. Yes.
Yeah. It's like, I know what I'm doing. It's like crazy.
Yeah. So it was really cool that there was like this trickle down that happened as well. I think the kind of health vibe increased in the department. It was already there, but it kind of grew through this, which was really cool. They started working out a little bit, other healthy habits started popping up and being paid attention to more, like more people started consistently working out. Like there were all these cool unintended extra outcomes that came from this that
snowballed. I mean,
all we did was say no treats on the counter and drop food off. Like that's all we did, and all these other things happened. So it's so cool to see that something that easy.
Yeah, all you had to do. Because the other thing is you're not coming back from every single call and cutting a donut in a quarter and cutting a donut in a quarter and then you've like tell the dietitian you've had only 1/4 of a donut, but really it was like 6 donuts.
Yeah, exactly.
They're on to you. Chiefs and wellness pros, are your first responders struggling with nutrition because they just can't figure out how to apply it on shift work? Are they showing up to shift underhydrated and over-caffeinated? Do they struggle with body composition, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high blood glucose, but don't know how to make the changes on shift that will actually move the needle? Then the Fueling Fire workshop is for you. These 4 to 6 hour workshops are designed for peer fitness trainers, company officers, academy instructors, or just general first responders who are looking to learn more about nutrition that they can apply immediately that day at the workshop. The Fueling Fire workshop provides practical strategies for packing a go bag, hydrating on the fire ground, preventing nutrition-related injuries in recruits, aka making sure they eat enough so that they don't pass out during PT. The Fueling Fire workshop is instructed by yours truly, Megan Lautz, a dietitian that has a proven 3-step framework to overhaul the basics, aka Nutrition 101, but in a way that you've never seen it done before for the fire service. The second part of the framework is igniting optimal performance. How do I hydrate? How do I pack a go bag? How do I optimize my energy levels on the fire ground realistically? The third step in the framework is igniting lifestyle changes. How do I eat healthier with fast food? What can I make for dinner? How do I change the environment at the station? Practical strategies that can help your first responders eat better themselves and promote long-term changes in your overall department. Plus, if you book by February 28th, you get the Quick Bites videos for free. This is a $1,300 value that extends or prolongs the life of the Fueling Fire workshop. These are 12 10-minute videos that you can add into your learning management software, aka Target Solutions, with quick tips on how first responders can eat healthier on shift that day. Go to rescuerd.com to book a discovery call today. Yes. Okay. So to kind of summarize that, like with your 3 nudges and 3, I already forgot.
There's three on each side.
3 on each side. So which, can we just kind of summarize that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd say you can use any of these nudges that you want. You can use 1, 2, 3, all of them. The more you use, the more that the easier it will make eating healthy. So on the treat side of things, have them around a little bit less to the extent that you can without backfiring. Make them less attractive and convenient, meaning put them behind a closed door, top shelf, in a jar you can't see through. Just make it so they're calling your name less, or a little bit harder to get to. Those 3 nudges will help you eat less of the treats. And then 3 nudges on the healthy food side of things, have it in your house more often. Now, that does not mean go out and buy an insane amount of healthy food. All of a sudden, you will not eat it all. You're going to throw some of that away. It's not going to work. Buy a few things. Start small. Add a few things into your environment that are healthier. Have them available more often. Make them attractive. Put them out on your countertops in nice displays, and buy things you actually want, that actually will call your name. Things that look colorful, stuff like that, and make them convenient. Buy things that are easy. If you can afford the pre-cut broccoli, go for it. I'll say a head of broccoli, not attractive to me. I work a lot of hours a week and I don't feel like cleaning and cutting that thing. I know that sounds terrible, but I don't. So
I've had 3 pineapples die on my counter over the past few weeks.
Absolutely. Yes. Those prickly buggers.
I got to cut it.
I'm
going to cut it. No,
it's going to pinch me. I got to clean up. Yeah.
Bites back.
Yeah. Yeah. So use those how you like. Normal, attractive, convenient. The treats less, the healthier foods more.
Perfect. Okay. So now we have the station kind of covered.
Yes.
What happens? How do I eat better when the driver is taking me to X, Y, and Z fast food restaurant because we didn't feel like cooking lunch that day? Absolutely.
So the tactics I just mentioned, normal, attractive, and convenient, these come from marketing, actually. Public health practitioners have learned, well, if marketing people can, Target's a great example. The joke is don't let your spouse go into Target because they're going to leave with 80 million things they never knew they needed. And that's because stores are really good at chipping away at your willpower and then nudging you to spend a little more money and buy things that make you happy. And it's not that they're in no way trying to hurt you or anything like that. It's just they want you to spend money and be happy. And sticking to your healthy plan doesn't lead to frivolous spending. You're going to go in with a plan and stay lean and mean. And that's great for us, but doesn't appeal to those other objectives. So you have to kind of know that there are going to be things in there that are meant to chip away at your willpower, and you need to put your blinders on and have a plan. So first off, have a plan. A restaurant, look up what they have, find the healthier options. I know you and I have tools to help them with that. Have a little pocket plan. Maybe talk to the driver and come up with ideas of restaurants that make it easier to eat healthier. Like I'll say for me, Chick-fil-A, I know they have healthy options. Those nuggets will get me every time.
Every time.
You nuggets. But Chipotle, I do a lot better. There are some luxurious options there that maybe that are more treats, but I do a better job actually eating healthy there. I like the healthy options a lot. So maybe come up with a list of restaurants that make it easier for everybody on shift to eat healthier, and let's stick to those. That's one thing we can do. And then those restaurants have a plan. Don't look at the menu. The menus are designed. They're set up in ways to drive your eyes and alter what you order, with font and color and placement. Personal selling. Don't listen to the specials. You go in and really try to put your blinders on and stick to that plan. Don't look around. Don't listen to what people are trying to sell you. Go in and actually stick to that plan. So I say those are two really big things when it comes to eating out or at a restaurant. And then when it comes to the grocery store, same thing. They're constantly rearranging so that you find things you didn't know existed, and it's harder for you to stick to your plan. There's sales, typically on the not so healthy stuff. So again, have your list, find what you need, and really, really, really put your blinders on and stick to that list, knowing that there are all these things going on in the store to be like, oh, shiny, oh, piece of candy, oh, squirrel.
Those checkout lines, man,
squirrel.
it's rude.
Adult squirrel.
No, squirrel. Do not look at the energy drink that's calling your name in the little fridge thing.
Yes.
Not bad.
The salted caramel cookie the size of my face and the energy drink, no.
Yes.
No,
Yeah, don't go hungry.
Nope. Just walk right by.
Don't eat.
Yeah.
So how, and then from like and I'm kind of going a little rogue here, like what about hydration? You know, because that's also a big one. In January, no one's really thinking about it, right? It's cold.
And so you can do the same thing, you know, the normal, attractive, convenient thing. You can do that with beverages as well. If you're trying to, not maybe unless your doctor tells you to, we're not anti-caffeine. Use it wisely. If you're trying to maybe scale back a smidge on caffeine, get it a little more under control, maybe don't have, a 12-pack of energy drinks sitting out on the counter. Put them behind a closed door, so I got to think about it to go get it. Maybe have a little less of them around. And then instead have my water bottle. Or, if you're trying to, after shift or after a call, the electrolyte replenish, if you're doing sticks or whatever it is, have them in places where you can quickly and easily do that. So you're reminded of it. Have them out on the counter, have them by the sink, have the bottle there with a box of sticks. Any of these things you can do to make that, little reminders that are out in your environment. So water bottles on the counters, energy drinks in the cupboards. That'll remind you to drink more of the water and the electrolytes and a little bit less of the caffeinated beverages. So you can do the same thing. Make the things you want to drink less of, less normal, attractive, and convenient. Make the things you want to drink more of, more normal, more attractive, more convenient in your environment.
Perfect. Yeah. And what would we be aiming for from a hydration standpoint? What do you typically go by from a standards per day?
Geez. I'll say, I'll honestly defer to you on that one. I think my dream, this is where like me being a researcher starts to like cause issues, is I start to overthink everything. And I'm like, oh, but what if, I've
never overthinked one day in my life. What are you talking about?
Oh, I know. But I think my dream is that one day we have, because it's very dietitian-y of me, one day we have these glorious tables that say like, for this type of tactical athlete in this region of the country or the world, in this environmental setting or this time of year, for this type of call, this is how much fluid you need.
Yeah, and we'd be doing urine spectroscopy.
Yes.
And that testing.
Yes.
All of those things.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I usually go by the Institute of Medicine, which is like 92 ounces for women and like 125 for men or something like that.
Yeah. And when I do calculations, I was going to say those are spot on with what I usually wind up calculating. So I like it. Absolutely.
Perfect. Excellent. Okay. Well, so we've kind of talked about the grocery store. We've talked about restaurants. We've talked about, the station setup. Is there any other section? Like, what else are we missing? That's a lot of, it's most
I
of the
really
places.
would say just wherever, if you're listening to this podcast, you're motivated and you're probably knowledgeable at this point. So you know what you should be eating more of and less of, and timing, and you're motivated to do it. So if you're not able to actually follow through with your goals, it's not you. More than likely. It's probably something external to you. So I'd say start looking outside of you to figure out what is impacting you. Is it people in your life that are making it hard for you to stick to your goals? Is it the environments you are in most of your time? Is your home food environment toxic to you? Well, now you know how to redesign that. Is the station food environment toxic to you? Let's try and redesign that. I'd say that's probably one of my big tips as we go into the new year, and resolutions are on all our minds, is think about you. How am I impacting my goals and success? But don't forget to look outside of you to people and environments and see what in there is, when I do wind up going off my rocker, what led to that external to me as well, not just me.
It's almost like, so you're actually taking a step back and you're assessing
Yes.
and you're looking at your tendencies, where I feel like a lot of first responders are just like, nope, I just suck. It's me.
Yes.
I'm the problem, which
Yes.
maybe
And maybe more.
partially.
I know. You might be.
You might be. We're all a problem. But like, what are some things that can make your life easier? Because I feel like they're like, nutrition is just supposed to be so hard because you have to be perfect all the time. When the reality is you don't.
No, I'm
It's
not.
supposed to be easy.
It's
You
final
know?
week.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No. It's the
I had
end of the
bundt cake
year.
last night.
Yeah. You had what?
We got a nothing bundt cakes in town 2 weeks ago. I swear they timed that perfectly.
Yeah.
Grand
Really,
opening.
that was kind
Final
of
week.
rude.
Yeah, that's just
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of, and the stations will be getting those for free. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, we just had a couple extra, or we wanted to treat you.
Oh,
And they're
yeah.
like, I've had 18 cakes today.
No, those of you in Stillwater, Oklahoma, they want cuties. I promise. They actually told me they want
actually
cuties.
do. Yeah. Yeah. Like, so those are some things you could take. Do you
Yeah.
guys have overtime traditions? Like, if you do overtime, you're supposed to bring like a snack or something.
No, not that I've heard of. No.
Yeah. So in our area, like when I was with Montgomery County, it was like, if you do overtime, you bring donuts for the shift.
Oh,
Like
no.
every station. I was like, I thought it was the cops. I thought the cops were supposed to be the donut fiends, like not the firefighters. Like they would have them either on the counter, hidden in a cabinet. I would open it and I'd be like,
They're everywhere.
yeah. And then, or there'd be a guy who would look me dead in the eye and just be like eating donuts the whole
Yeah.
time I was there.
You know what, though? I take that as a sign that they know what they should be doing.
Yes.
Like they know at least.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. They know, like they just want to kind of dive the knife right into my heart and twist it kind of thing. But yeah, so like those are things that if you do have that kind of overtime tradition to bring,
Yes.
what about like, adding something in like before dinner, because
Oh,
like a
yeah.
lot of times, how can we reduce our portions at dinner with like
Yeah.
some witchcraft?
Absolutely. Well, I'll say, going back a second, like I think if you ever want to put out a PSA to your community, like I'm happy to help create a little flyer that's a PSA. You can maybe take it to the grocery stores to hang up. But I think a lot of people, they want to love firefighters. The community wants to love firefighters, or and whatever first responders are protecting their communities. They want to say thank you, and we love through food. But we love through traditional love food, and I think if the community knows that you are open to being loved in a different way, that we have high rates of cancer, bring us fruits and veggies that help fight that cancer and fuel our performance, like cuties are awesome. If you're open to that, I say let your community know that, and they'll maybe bring you things that are a little more supportive of health.
Yeah.
And then wait, what was our second part? I lost it. I squirreled.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's Friday.
You scrolled. I think I wrote an article when we did that EMS thing for EMS 1 on that specifically, because it can't be linked to a department, because then it's like the department is asking for donations. But if you wanted to share an article.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that works. Yeah, absolutely.
There you go. Yeah, because it's like, applesauce pouches or fruits and, the fruits and veggies, the granola pouches. Yeah, big fan of the applesauce.
Yes. I love it.
Yeah, like, or even condiments, because that's reducing the cost. If you're reducing the cost of your station budget, you can spend it elsewhere, right?
Yes.
The peanut butters, whatever. But yeah, we scrolled off a little bit.
We did.
So if you, a lot of times dinner, right? It's 3 plates at dinner. Like, what is some witchcraft that I can do to like reduce my portions at dinner without me really thinking about it?
Yes, absolutely. I think keeping that kind of athlete's plate in mind and how you design your plate in general can be very helpful. Having like half your plate be color, a quarter is like a carb to fuel, and a quarter is a protein to recover. But I think remembering that half your plate is color, that way, even if you do go back, at least the proportions are great. And I think that's one thing that's helpful. I think another thing is, and we just talked about this today. I was at the fire stations this morning. I take an intern around, a new intern, to introduce them to the stations. And one of them wanted recipes for the Wellness Wednesday. And I was like, okay, well, I don't want to give you exactly 4 servings, because we make grocery lists for them too. We scale the recipes and make lists so they can just go. And I was like, there's 4 of you. I don't want to just give you 4 servings just in case somebody wants a bigger portion. Do you want 6, 7, 8 portions? And they're like, don't go to 8, because then we'll eat double. And maybe some of us shouldn't eat double.
Yeah.
They're like, so how about 6? So I think that's another thing is watch how much you're making at the station to make sure that you're not encouraging overeating. Because if it's there and it's going to go bad, and you pitched in for it, you're probably going to eat it.
It's gonna get eaten.
But I think beforehand too, having those healthy snacks out on the countertops. I mean, if you are snacky before you eat a big meal, like that cutie's right there, like having a cutie would be great. That way you're not going into your meal absolutely ravenous and overeating. You've had a little snack to calm you down a little bit.
Yes.
Having that water bottle out, drinking a little water too. Having it, if it's out on the counter, it'll remind you to do that. Yeah, I think any of those little snacks we had out on the counter is just a little handful of nuts beforehand. Definitely would help keep you. If it's out on the counter and you see it while you're hungry, smelling dinner coming, it might make you a little less ravenous for what is about to come.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, eat the salad first or have a veggie tray out. Like everyone's like, oh, they won't eat the veggie tray.
Oh, yes, they will.
Oh, they will hail that veggie tray. It's just
I'm the person that brings the veggie tray to the party, like every party, and everybody knows it's just veggie tray.
Dietitian.
And guess what? Guess what is gone every time and first? The veggie tray.
Yeah. People want it
because someone threw it away.
Yeah, exactly. And then if it's left over, then you have like the broccoli or the cauliflower doesn't get eaten. You have a stir fry for the rest of the week.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
yeah, okay. I love it.
Well, perfect. So these are some good tricks if you're feeling kind of stuck. Your resolutions are a little not working out for you right now. Let's start here. And then, it makes it a little easier to stepwise into more
absolutely. The tagline for the nudges that I just mentioned is making like healthy habits easy habits.
Yes. Easy, not hard, which is key. Yeah. So, speaking of kind of hard, so what do you eat when your life is absolutely on fire? Like, how do you adjust your nutrition when you feel it's finals week? Like, how are you doing? There's a new cake shop.
I did have a bundt cake yesterday. I say what I do is I definitely cannot say and I don't encourage anybody to say don't have these things. What I do is I kind of say this week for me, I'm like, all right, on Tuesday I'm having some peanut M&Ms, and on Thursday I'll have a bundt cake. And I'm making sure I'm still working out. I'd say that's something I do. When I'm stressed out, I know I'm going to stress eat a little bit. And if I don't let myself do that at least a little bit, it will backfire and I will do it a lot of it. So I let myself have those extra treats and it's okay. But I do make sure I'm still working out throughout all of that. That lets off some of my stress, which is great. Encourages me to eat healthier in general. So I feel like that's very helpful for me. I'd also say that I really try and focus on meal planning and prepping a little bit more, knowing that if somebody mentions going out to eat, it's going to be a little easier for me to want to do that when I'm really stressed out. So if I plan a little bit more, I can give a little more control back to myself in a time when I know I'm going to be out of control and easily swayed. Because if that meal is prepped in the fridge, I'm going to feel bad going out to eat. And it's going to help keep me on my healthy plan a little bit more. So I'll say for me, planning the healthy stuff and planning the treats whenever I know I'm going to be stressed out really helps me to stay a little more on track and consistently working out. Those all help me.
So what's your go-to meal then to meal prep that's not going to take you forever?
I'd say I think my favorite thing, and I do this every week, I have chicken in the crock pot and then I have a bunch of ways to use that throughout the week at home because I do get bored and my husband gets super bored. He's almost anti-leftover. So having the pulled chicken, I use low sodium chicken broth and chicken, just put it in the crock pot on high for 4 hours and poof, I've got pulled chicken that doesn't taste like anything. So I can add seasonings and sauces throughout the week. So I'll make tacos, wraps, salads. I have all different dressings or toppings so I can change it up the whole time. So I think that's my go-to. That's very easy. I mean, the toppings are just there. And then I just plop the chicken in the crock pot, plop that thing in the dishwasher. I mean, it is my go-to easy when it's hectic.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast and giving you all of your information about the nutrition environment. So what are some things, where can people find you? What do you got going
Yeah,
on?
absolutely. So we have a Facebook page. It's OSU Tactical Fitness and Nutrition. I'd say we post a lot of our like happenings on there. We have interns who will make infographics and stuff like that too. So we'll post resources, but we also post like studies that are going on. When I say studies for us, I mean that we're offering programs usually, and we just use our pre and post tests to see if it actually worked, and we share that with the world a little bit more, not with your names, but with like averages. So studies for us usually just means that we're offering programs. So
Yeah,
don't think studies is a
sticks.
scary thing.
Yeah. Yeah, they do take it as a scary thing. They're like, you're going to do
They
what?
do. No,
Yeah.
no, like a great example, the epitome of how opposite this is we have a study right now that's a children's book for first responder kiddos. Like our studies are children's books.
Yes, with colors and dogs.
I know, and they're adorable. It is the freaking coolest little kids book ever. But our goal is just to see if we can improve kiddos' eating habits, because your kiddos drive your eating habits. So I'm going to make it so that that's easier. So that's what I mean by studies. So we'll post our studies, and the nice thing is those are usually free if it's a study, especially. So we'll post those. I have nutrition classes on Fridays. Most Fridays, I'll tell you on Thursday when they're happening, and I put the Zoom link on there. They're free. You just hop in. You don't sign up. 3 to 4 on Zoom Central Time. And then we have free diet assessments with actionable report cards. We have all kinds of stuff. So I'd say our Facebook page is a great place to go to just kind of see all those things that are happening. You can also, if you kind of reach out to us on there, my email is tacticalnutrition@okstate.edu. If you email us, we put you on our mailing list. So when things come up, we'll send you out flyers. So yeah, I'd say Facebook and that email are probably the best way to kind of find us.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll link that into the show notes so that people can find that pretty easily.
Awesome.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for for coming on, and thanks for listening into the Fueling Fire podcast. Have a great one. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Fueling Fire. If you enjoyed the episode, please share on social media, and don't forget to tag @rescue.rd. And leave us a rating on whatever platform you're listening to, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, so that we can continue sharing nutrition information that makes sense for the fire service. Thank you so much for listening, and have a safe and healthy shift.